Welcome to TradeTheMBA.com. This is Sean. This report is for, the 26th now. I had to check the calendar just to verify. But um, coming right off that retrace to the positive extremes, we've caught significant action, and that was mostly we could see from short-term buyers starting their move back up here through the negative 13.5. Once they get above that, that was enough stabilization. Still continuing. Of course, as you can see, they're going to reach a point where it rides too high. But what it's done is brought in some midterm, long-term buyers. You can see the conversion here in the red and green, and we also have orange, negative 842. So that's right in line with the green in that. So it's sort of going to create that dip below the red line, which would be a positive. We also have MBI reading here. Magenta has moved above the white and has already pivoted up. It's going to probably not, it doesn't get that launch capability here until we get that blue crossing above the white, which literally is right on the precipice. So all in all, we had the extreme move, pulled back right to it, and started again. All the while, not much has changed from an economic view, or certainly not from an interest rate view. You can see from the Nasdaq, all literally identical readings there for most of that. Nothing really special from the dynamic. The euro sort of gotten into this new baseline here underneath the zero level. Not critical. It's just not going to do anything. There's just nothing good to report out of the eurozone at this particular stage. And as long as oil doesn't take off, but this slow incremental climb, obviously associated with the market move, and at this particular point, nothing quite has changed geopolitically or anything that's going to result in anything now. It's just a question of economic activity. Is there going to be enough draw? And this, complete kind of bifurcation that's taken place in a lot of areas from metals on down. You're basically created two systems in essence, and the more oil in that's traded outside of the U.S. dollar will be interesting later on once things do stabilize. But that's not the case just yet. It was a sharp pop back for TLT. Uh, Again, this is that debate between, money flowing in, looking for that extra rate, how much inflation is eating into it, and whether or not they still think the Fed is going to have to start easing. And, the market still believes that it does because it really can't believe the numbers that are coming out. One half dozen the other on it. I think for the most part, what we're seeing is a lot of algo activity that just takes advantages of the imbalances, which is what we're looking at, and that's giving us the better view of it. Bitcoin again, still within that same range on the lower side of it right now. It should be able to make a turnaround here shortly if it's able to pop up a little bit. That orange action at this particular stage, not dipping down, doesn't bode well for any sustained move higher, at least from a midterm range perspective right there. And then from a 50K standpoint, you can see the rally's taking us all the way through. We're sort of at a peak moment here from a 50K standpoint. Probably going to need to see a little bit of softenings where we were at last time when we get that magenta in the spike area where you then have the white. We do get some type of retrace, and that would be back to the 50%, which would just take us right back to where we started at the 4150 range. Nothing too spectacular. ETH, again, suffering the same as Bitcoin. It's trades parallel to it, and really much better action, though, I think, from a algorithm standpoint. And the paint bar, just beautiful the way it follows all of those details. And here we have from our 5K ES. This was an interesting one because here you have what would be considered your breakdown from the magenta. You have blue all the way under. The difficulty is the cyan under red, which is always buy, except for when you get those moves in the negative 13. Here again, this would have been the earliest beginnings of where you would have contemplated, and I have to agree with the paint bar in this case, waiting for that additional confirmation move there, which is that one extra bar, is definitely what you want to do, even though it obviously it's sad to see that kind of movement. Now, the only difference in this case being is that you're coming off a huge series of positive extremes that we had talked about at the beginning of the video report, that we were likely going to at least minimally retrace the secondary one and then the primary one that began it, where we then had a couple of yellow candles that would have filled in the bottom side of it. And so it, well, ultimately did all of those things before catching a bid. And uh, I don't think you lose either way waiting for it, because it does prevent getting caught in some of those early moves, except for the fact you knew that with the parabolic nature of the move, there had to be some fill coming back into it. So whether it's a little bit lighter trade, those are options that you can play. But turnaround move, even coming back up right above the algo close with the nice magenta clean DOC with orange dip, green over red, all perfect shakeout and return to positive, which created another beautiful series of positive extremes right down here. That meant that we all had to come exactly back to relatively the same spot, and that's exactly what it did. And so these are beautiful ranges when we get this kind of mean reversion, and I think it was just an ideal day for the most part. Even the final buy signal that came through generated several different ones coming across, and we are all the way back up at that 41.90 for algo here, and we're trading right up against it. It obviously created a whole other series of positive extremes. We could even mark um, the beginning of the breakout move right here, just 41.74. And then, of course, all the series, the second series started right there. If I can get my cursor to cooperate, 41.80. So around 10-point difference between the two. That'll be the next thing to look for in the softness coming into any open. We'll go from there. This is pretty light trading at this particular stage. As always, though, I will update you on Skype chat with anything relevant. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.